Edgar Cayce, a humble Kentuckian, rose to prominence as the most extensively documented psychic of the 20th century. His extraordinary abilities were often met with skepticism, yet his readings unveiled hidden truths from the past and foresaw the future with uncanny accuracy. In this compelling investigation, Adam Weiner delves into why a new generation is captivated by Kentucky's sleeping prophet. Though Cayce has long departed, his prophetic visions continue to echo, casting a shadow over humanity's destiny. Among his most startling predictions was that China would ascend as the world's economic powerhouse, shifting the epicenter of civilization eastward. As this prophecy unfolds before our very eyes, it sparks fear and intrigue across the globe. Can we alter this foreseen path, or are we destined to follow it? Join us as we explore Edgar Cayce's astonishing forecast for 2024 and its profound potential impact on our future. Strange tales of the sleeping prophet. Snoozing at work isn't usually a way to get ahead, but for Edgar Cayce, it resulted in more than 14,000 prophecies about the present, the past, and the future. This included a variety of subjects such as healing, reincarnation, dreams, the afterlife, past lives, nutrition, and future events. But a puzzle lingers. What is behind Edgar Cayce's powers? Is it light or darkness? Cayce, who was a devout Christian and Sunday school teacher, said that his readings came from his subconscious mind exploring the dream realm, where he said all minds were timelessly connected. However, if we are to decide to believe if Edgar Cayce's terrifying prediction for 2024 is true or false, then we must first define his route as a psychic. Famously known as the sleeping prophet, Cayce gained fame in the early to mid-1900s because of his uncanny ability to fall asleep into a self-induced hypnotic state and offer medical advice for sick people he hadn't ever met. He could allegedly draw medical conclusions about people's illnesses, armed only with their name, location, and hypnotic trance. So vast is the list of people he allegedly healed through his medical advice that he has been called the father of holistic medicine. Cayce transformed many lives through medical and spiritual healing, and some are still alive to tell their story. It was an experience that shaped my whole life, and he was right on it. Everything. He even made headlines in the New York Times because of his gift of clairvoyance, attributed to the illiterate man who becomes doctor when hypnotized. The truth, however, was that although Edgar Cayce wasn't particularly interested in school, he wasn't illiterate. It was while struggling with his coursework alongside the tutoring of his father that he got his spiritual breakthrough and enhancement. His first encounter with the otherworldly was at age 10 while he was reading his Bible. In the year 1889, young Edgar claimed he was visited by a woman with wings on her back who asked him what he wanted the most. Edgar said he was frightened, but still answered that he wanted to be able to help people, especially children, and after he had replied, the woman promised to answer his prayers and disappeared. But Cayce would hear from her again shortly. From a young age, Cayce exhibited psychic abilities, including clairvoyance and intuitive insights. He claimed to have experienced visions and communication with spirits, which both fascinated and frightened him as a child. These early experiences would later shape his understanding of the unseen realms and his belief in the continuity of consciousness beyond physical death. As a child, Cayce reportedly saw and communed with the ghost of his deceased grandfather. He was confident that it was a ghost because it became transparent if he looked hard enough. He also could see invisible ethereal beings, which he termed his friends and called little folks. With his life resembling a haunted house attraction, it's no surprise Cayce's ability to concentrate on his studies was a feat. His second encounter with the winged lady happened when Cayce was 12 years old. It occurred one evening when he was studying spelling with his father and couldn't seem to grasp the words. When his frustrated father left the room for a moment, Cayce said he heard the voice of the winged woman from the creek tell him to fall asleep. He fell asleep on the book, and when he woke up a few minutes later, and to his father's great astonishment, not only could Cayce spell the words he'd been practicing that evening, but he also apparently knew the rest of the lessons too. This was a turning point in Cayce's education as he started to be quite successful in the classroom. This was also the first moment that Cayce determined sleep was going to be an instrumental part of his life. He earned his most famous moniker, the Sleeping Prophet, because of his purported ability to fall asleep atop books, awakening with full retention of the facts and illustrations recorded therein. Later, this skill transformed into the ability to diagnose and recommend treatments for illnesses while in a trance-like sleeping state. In a sleeping trance-like state, Cayce could diagnose and suggest treatment for illnesses and injuries with astonishing accuracy. Believe it or not, Cayce himself had no formal medical training. Edgar Cayce's childhood experiences and influences were all that played a significant role in shaping his spiritual beliefs, psychic abilities, and holistic approach to health and healing. Cayce was born into a deeply religious family in rural Kentucky, where he was raised with a strong Christian upbringing. His parents instilled in him a reverence for God and a belief in the power of prayer, which would later influence his spiritual teachings and practices. As a child, Cayce developed a keen interest in spirituality and healing, inspired by his family's religious beliefs and his own experiences of psychic phenomena. He was drawn to the teachings of the Bible and other spiritual texts, as well as to alternative healing modalities, such as herbal remedies and folk medicine practiced in his community. Despite his limited formal education, Cayce was a voracious reader and self-learner who eagerly absorbed knowledge from books on a wide range of subjects, including science, philosophy, and metaphysics. His curiosity and thirst for knowledge would later inform his holistic approach to health and healing, which integrated insights from various disciplines and traditions. Edgar Cayce's journey into the realm of psychic abilities began with subtle yet profound experiences that unfolded during his formative years, gradually revealing the extraordinary gifts hidden within him. His first notable encounters with psychic abilities occurred in the quiet corners of his family's farm, where he developed an uncanny knack for diagnosing the ailments of their livestock. With little more than a touch and a gaze, Cayce could discern the underlying health issues plaguing the animals, often providing accurate assessments that astounded those around him. These early demonstrations of his intuitive prowess served as a hint of the extraordinary path that lay ahead. As Cayce matured, his psychic abilities continued to evolve, manifesting in a variety of forms that defied conventional explanation. He began to experience vivid dreams and spontaneous visions that seemed to offer glimpses into the past, present, and future. In these altered states of consciousness, Cayce found himself accessing a wellspring of knowledge and insight far beyond the scope of his conscious mind. He described feeling as though he were tapping into a universal source of wisdom, channeling information and guidance from realms unseen. Despite the wonder and intrigue surrounding his psychic experiences, Cayce approached them with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Raised in a devout Christian household, he grappled with reconciling his burgeoning psychic abilities with the teachings of his faith. At times, he struggled with doubts and uncertainties, questioning the source and significance of the information flowing through him. Yet, with each encounter, Cayce felt drawn deeper into the mysteries of the human psyche and the interconnectedness of all life. It was not until later in life, after facing numerous personal and professional challenges, that Cayce fully embraced his psychic gifts and began to share them with the world. Through a series of trance-induced readings conducted in a deep meditative state, Cayce offered insights and guidance on a wide range of topics, from health and healing to spirituality and personal growth. Edgar spent his first 20 years focusing on health readings for people, but he didn't go and examine the people. Sometimes very strange formulas to get through toward healing. These readings, which would come to be known as the Edgar Cayce readings, laid the foundation for his legacy as one of the most renowned psychics and spiritual healers of the 20th century, and also led to the birth of the unbelievable prediction that would come to pass in 2024. In hindsight, Cayce's early encounters with psychic abilities served as a prelude to his extraordinary contributions to the fields of metaphysics, holistic healing, and spiritual exploration. They provided him with a glimpse of the boundless potential that lay within him and set him on a path of self-discovery and service to humanity. Edgar Cayce remains a controversial figure, and with good reason. Stories surrounding his early life prove sensational and hard to believe, yet they provide the foundational elements for this fascinating turn-of-the-century American figure's rise to fame. But what were the notable strange miracles Edgar Cayce performed that brought his mysterious powers to light? Should we believe his so-called prophecies? Edgar's mysterious gifts. During his lifetime, Edgar Cayce carried out thousands of documented readings covering various topics to a wide range of people, including celebrities like Harry Houdini, Thomas Edison, Woodrow Wilson, and Marilyn Monroe. He foretold events from Atlantis' rediscovery to the outbreak of World War II, down to the very prediction that will define the fate of mankind today. Edgar Cayce's role as a clairvoyant doctor began with self-diagnosis. After getting hit in the spine with a ball during a school game, Cayce acted strangely, and so his parents put him to bed. To their astonishment, he began talking in his sleep, diagnosing his condition and describing how to cure it. After following their sleeping son's instructions, Cayce received healing almost instantly. In later years, news of Cayce's supernatural diagnosis spread far and wide like wildfire. Newspapers billed Cayce as the illiterate who becomes a doctor when hypnotized. They described how Cayce, whom they described as a psychic diagnostician, would take off his coat, collar, and tie before reclining. He would then close his eyes and sigh deeply. Moments later, his eyes would open, filled with a dreamy quality as if in a trance, and he would start reciting diagnoses, cures, and even predictions. Cayce made numerous personal prophecies and health predictions for individuals seeking guidance through his readings. While many individuals reported positive outcomes and improvements in health as a result of Cayce's recommendations, the accuracy of these predictions varied and was often difficult to verify independently. Whether these testimonies amounted to much more than anecdotal evidence remains up for debate. But Cayce's health recommendations from the 1920s and 30s do hold up to today's standards. His tips for leading a long and healthy life included getting a good night's sleep, cooking with olive oil, exercising, and drinking plenty of water. According to his biographer Thomas Sugru, there are hundreds of people throughout the United States who will testify at the drop of a hat to the accuracy of his diagnoses and the efficacy of his suggestions for treatment. It doesn't even end here. Besides his penchant for sleep-talking medical diagnoses, many of the natural remedies Cayce prescribed are still used today. And in fact, he was one of the first people to introduce holistic medicine to the Western world. Cayce also made fascinating prophecies. While some appear to have proven accurate, others remain up for interpretation. One of Cayce's most famous predictions was his warning of an impending stock market crash in the late 1920s. Cayce advised individuals to sell their stocks and invest in safer assets before the crash occurred. Unfortunately, most doubted him. Eventually, his warning came to pass, given the subsequent collapse of the stock market in October 1929. This event was what led to the infamous Great Depression. In 1935, Cayce predicted how World War II would unfold, including warnings of international conflicts and geopolitical tensions. He described an unprecedented alliance between the Germans, Austrians, and Japanese. It's worth noting that this alliance would not come to light until the Tripartite Pact's signing on September 27, 1940. Cayce also predicted that the whole world would be set on fire by the militaristic groups. While Cayce did not specifically predict the rise of Adolf Hitler, some argue that his general warnings about global unrest and conflict were reflective of the turbulent times preceding the war. Other strange foretellings from the sleeping prophet include the death of two presidents in 1939, stating how they will die and what will lead to their deaths. True to his words, in April 1945, President Franklin D. Roosevelt died in office, and in November 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. Cayce also discussed the lost city of Atlantis, predicting its rediscovery near Bimini in 1968 or 1969. In 1968, archaeologists discovered an underwater rock formation off the coast of the Bahamian island of North Bimini. The formation sits 18 feet below the surface. Some hypothesize it marks the submerged city's entrance. Although debate still rages about whether the Bimini Road is naturally occurring or human-made, its discovery lends additional credence to America's favorite clairvoyant. In many trance sessions, Cayce also reinterpreted the history of life on Earth. One of Cayce's controversial theories was polygenism. According to Cayce, 5 races, white, black, red, brown, and yellow, were created separately and simultaneously on different parts of Earth. He accepted the existence of aliens in Atlantis, saying that the red race developed in Atlantis, and its development was rapid, and believed that soul entities on Earth intermingled with animals to produce beings such as giants, which were as tall as 12 feet. Cayce's readings contain numerous predictions about discoveries in archaeology, science, and technology. Some of these predictions were remarkably accurate, such as his descriptions of the Sphinx and the Hall of Records beneath the Sphinx's paw. Cayce's predictions eerily echoed his own independent investigation at this iconic Egyptian monument. Seismographic studies around the base of the Sphinx. We placed geophones around the perimeter of the Sphinx, which have sparked ongoing research and speculation among archaeologists and historians. Among thousands of his predictions, one of Cayce's biggest predictions was that future generations would live longer. This has come true with advancements in medical science and technology. Over the past decades, the average human lifespan has increased significantly. Global life expectancy has increased by more than 6 years between 2000 and 2019, from 66.8 years in 2000 to 73.4 years in 2019. In 1900, the average life expectancy of a newborn was 32 years. But by 2021, this had more than doubled to 71 years. However, this is just the half of what Edgar could do. Imagine having the ability to predict your death. Edgar Cayce did. His visions warned him that he should not use his psychic abilities more than twice a day, or serious health problems would occur. Cayce was rather well known and received thousands of requests. He ignored the warnings and went on with the readings. On January 1, 1945, Edgar Cayce predicted he would be buried in 4 more days. He died of a stroke on January 3, 1945, and is buried in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, where he was born. Overall, Edgar Cayce's predictions are a subject of ongoing debate and interpretation. While some of his predictions have been deemed accurate or insightful in hindsight, others remain open to interpretation or have not been validated by subsequent events. This finally brings us to revealing the most striking of his predictions, which to the ignorance of many has begun to come to reality today. What did the sleeping prophet predict will happen at this present time? You will be kicking yourself for not knowing this sooner. What will happen in 2024? Interpreting Edgar Cayce's vision for the future requires a nuanced understanding of his readings, which encompassed a wide range of topics related to global events, spiritual evolution, and humanity's destiny. While Cayce's predictions were diverse and multifaceted, several overarching themes emerged that shed light on his vision for the future. Central to Cayce's vision for the future was the idea of a global spiritual awakening and transformation. Cayce believed that humanity was entering a new era of consciousness, characterized by greater awareness, compassion, and spiritual understanding. He envisioned a time when individuals would awaken to their true spiritual nature and recognize their interconnectedness with all life, awakening the hidden potential to tap into their subconsciousness and supernatural abilities. Cayce emphasized the importance of healing and wholeness on all levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. He believed that true healing involved addressing the root causes of illness and imbalance and restoring harmony within the body, mind, and spirit. Cayce envisioned a future where holistic approaches to health and wellness would be embraced, leading to greater vitality, resilience, and well-being for individuals and society as a whole. Cayce foresaw a future marked by greater unity and cooperation among nations, cultures, and religions. He believed that humanity was destined to overcome divisions and conflicts through mutual understanding, respect, and cooperation. Cayce envisioned a time when individuals would recognize their common humanity and work together to create a more just, peaceful, and harmonious world. He expressed concern about the environmental challenges facing the planet and emphasized the importance of environmental stewardship and conservation. He believed that humanity had a responsibility to care for the Earth and its natural resources, recognizing the interconnectedness of all life. Cayce envisioned a future where individuals would live in harmony with nature, respecting the delicate balance of the ecosystem and working to preserve the planet for future generations. Cayce spoke of humanity's ongoing evolution of consciousness, a process of spiritual growth and self-realization that unfolds over time. He believed that individuals were capable of attaining higher levels of consciousness and enlightenment, transcending the limitations of ego and materialism. Cayce envisioned a future where humanity would collectively evolve toward greater wisdom, love, and unity with the divine. In interpreting Cayce's vision for the future, it's important to recognize that his insights were often symbolic. While some of his predictions may have specific implications for future events, others are more abstract and metaphysical, reflecting broader spiritual principles and themes. Ultimately, Cayce's vision for the future inspires us to embrace the potential for positive change and transformation, both individually and collectively, as we journey toward a brighter and more enlightened future. The Edgar Cayce information suggests that humanity's consciousness has evolved and expanded over time. Cayce stated that this expansion of consciousness could be viewed throughout the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation. From Edgar's reading's perspective, the next great evolution would be tied to the development of what Cayce termed the fifth root race, an evolutionary occurrence that would mark a new age and a new understanding of humanity's relationship to God. True to Edgar Cayce's words, in our world today, many are undergoing a revolution in their spirituality. Because this occurs differently for each person, some are aware of their awakening, while some are not. But what is a spiritual awakening? How do you know it's happening? A spiritual awakening is a call to higher consciousness and deeper mental awareness. The process of spiritual awakening brings about personal transformation and a shift in one's worldview. A spiritual awakening is, generally speaking, a newfound awareness of a spiritual reality. A spiritual awakening can be gradual or rapid, and it can mean different things to different people. That search of the term spiritual awakening leads to sites where one can find the 5 stages of spiritual awakening, or 10 signs of spiritual awakening. These signs and stages may be physical, everything from gaining or losing appetite, weight, sleep, or energy, to physical sensitivity to cell phones. The signs can be emotional, a broken heart, changes in relationships, or excessive episodes of grief, fear, rage, or depression. Many secular references to spiritual awakening are in the context of mysticism and New Age thinking and should be approached with extreme caution. What the world calls a spiritual awakening could be nothing more than an open door to contacting demonic spirits. Biblically, a spiritual awakening is not a waking from spiritual sleep, but a resurrection from spiritual death. All people are born in sin and are spiritually dead. Awakening should be done regarding biblical reference and the accompaniment of God's words. For many, a spiritual awakening is brought about by a life-changing event. For others, it is a gradual and subtle shift. There are lists of common catalysts for spiritual awakening. First is a traumatic experience. This one has a profound detrimental impact on our physical or emotional well-being. It is often followed by a long period of healing. Examples of a traumatic experience can be suffering from one form of abuse or surviving a serious accident. Next is major, life-changing events. These are events that have the potential to change the entire course of your life. A divorce, the death of a loved one, or a serious illness can be classified as a life-changing event. Another is the existential crisis, also known as the dark night of the soul. During an existential crisis, an individual begins to question the meaning and purpose of life. It is often accompanied by depression or followed by a life-changing experience, but this is not always the case. The more astounding yet common trigger is a near-death experience. Many people who've reported having a near-death experience also discuss coming into contact with beings from the other side. As one can imagine, Such an experience profoundly transforms one's outlook on life. Last but not the least is a natural awakening. This is an involuntary process of awakening. It takes place after engaging in a practice that produces a shift in conscious awareness. These practices include meditation, mindfulness, developing a deep sense of connection with nature, and self-transformational practice. As you go through a spiritual awakening, you may also feel a variety of symptoms from time to time, especially each time you experience a shift or up-leveling in your consciousness. This is the moment of truth for all awakened souls. You feel an increase in intuition and sense of awareness, becoming more in tune with the environment around you and becoming more empathetic towards others. One also experiences overwhelming feelings of love. God is love, and one is bound to feel His aura during spiritual awakening. As you are experiencing an elevation in your conscious awareness, you will be in increased contact with this divine love. Lucid dreams also come into play in spiritual awakening. These are dreams in which you are aware of the fact that you are dreaming or feel as if you are awake within the dream. There are synchronicities too, which are simultaneously occurring events that appear to be related to each other, and the feelings of déjà vu. One also feels a profound sense of inner peace, disillusion, and loneliness brought about by difficulty connecting with family and peers on a deeper level. You can be caught up in a state similar to a superiority complex, feeling better or more enlightened than the people around you, and feeling a lack of attachment to this world in which you may desire to find a new spiritually fulfilling career or devote your life to sacred endeavors. It is therefore worthy of note that although spiritual awakening is incremental, it has no specific timeline. The journey towards spiritual awakening is a cyclical and ongoing process, simply put, for as long as you are in this life. This phenomenon for our future, as inspired by Edgar Cayce, enables us the potential to explore beyond mere physical wisdom, powers, and capabilities, hence presenting humans the opportunity to collectively or individually change their fate for good. Moreover, Cayce's legacy as a prophetic visionary continues to inspire fascination and intrigue, prompting further exploration and study of his remarkable psychic abilities and insights. Through his courage, humility, and unwavering commitment to truth, Cayce not only illuminated the mysteries of the human soul, but also inspired countless individuals to embark on their journeys of spiritual awakening and self-realization. Have you ever experienced a spiritual awakening? What was it like? We are interested to know, so do make sure to leave a comment. To enjoy more inspiring videos like this, click on the subscribe button and don't forget to like.